I got the chance to meet the amazing Hee Won, also known as Onionwood.
네,
안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요. 네, 안녕하세요.
And in our meeting, we got to talk about lots of different topics, including how he got into woodturning, some of the struggles he's faced as an artist, and some of the philosophies he has towards his craft. Because the video was an hour long, my partner and I created this summarized version to not only highlight some of the most interesting parts, but to also add a little more context to kind of fill in some of the potential cultural gaps here and there. I'll leave a link to the full version in the description box, and without further ado, let's get into it. My very first question to Hee Won was, how did you get into wood turning? And here are a few short clips of that.
그러면 목선반은 어떻게 시작을 하게
네,
되셨나요?
가구를 하다가 가구를 시작을 했는데 왜 가구에는 라운드 쉐입이 없을까? 왜 항상 스퀘어밖에 왜 사각밖에 없느냐?
다 각졌죠.
그렇죠. 좀 더 새로운 거 나름대로.
Onionwood has been doing wood turning for about 20 years, and he also did furniture making before that. He got into wood turning because he felt like furniture was too limited. So he first started by learning traditional wood turning techniques, then studied overseas to gain knowledge that was unavailable in Korea. And after learning all he could, he started to experiment and began inventing his own techniques, which of course has led to the crazy amazing stuff we see today. After this, he showed me some of his art pieces. This led us to discuss two techniques that took him years to master, and then the philosophies he developed from those experiences.
트레체이스 같은 경우 있잖아요, 이런. 그렇죠? 이런 거 같은 경우 보면 전 너무나 힘들었던 부분이, 제가 사실 처음에 왜 3년이 걸렸냐면 1년을 낭비내로 했어요.
어떻게?
제가 사실 남이 하다 어떤 분이 하는 걸 보고 그 사람의 방법을 썼던 거예요. 죽어도 안 되는 거예요. 그래서 어떠냐, 거의 포기하다시피 했어요. 그래서 마지막으로 제가 나만의 스타일로 한번 해보자 되는 거 아니에요? 이건 2년 만에 성공하게 됐습니다.
와.
총 7볼이죠. 요거까지 안에 이제 6볼이 들어가 있고.
와.
전 세계 사람이 다 틀려요. 터닝하신 분들이. 결과적으로 남의 거에 계속 영향했다면 저는 이거를 하지 못했겠죠.
For those who don't know, thread chasing is where you create a pair for threaded inserts. Basically, the creation of both the male and female parts of something that screws together. A Chinese ball is a ball with 1 to 6 more balls inside of it, and he can make all of these through wood turning. Thread chasing took him 3 years to master, and the Chinese ball took him 2. And from those hardships, he developed 2 core philosophies for his wood turning. Number 1, in order to truly achieve mastery over a skill or technique, every individual needs to figure out a way to make it their own. And number 2, whenever he's trying to learn somebody else's technique, he sets up a rule to always try to take it one step further. That way, he won't just be mimicking it and reaching the same findings. Instead, he sets himself up to potentially learn or discover something different or more along the way. After that, he then brings up a slightly more difficult subject that many artists in Korea seems to run into or struggle with. The tug of war between traditional Korean methods and modern techniques.
공모전 같은 데 있잖아요.
네.
네, 공모전 같은데 그런 데서 얘기하는 게 그래요. 항상 그 사람들의 주제는 그래요. 전통과 현대적인 걸 결합해서 만든 게 점수를 더 준다. 하지만 실제로 가보면 완전 다 전통이에요.
아, 그래요?
네, 그리고 전통만이 상을 줘요. 그러니까 너무 그거는 좀 약간 아닌 것 같아요.
조금 아이러니하게
되게
만드는
아이러니한, 그렇죠.
그런 상황.
그래서 저는 그게 싫었던 거죠. 제가 우리 국내에서 약간의 소외를 받는다 그러나? 약간 뭔가 인정을 못 모르겠어요. 뭐 저 아는 분들이 꽤 있지만 근데 그런 분들이 항상 하는 얘기는 뭐냐면 오치를 해라. 코리안 락커를 해라 그러다가 저는 싫거든요.
하라고 하면 뭔가 더 하기 싫어지고.
그렇죠. 근데 그걸 해야만 또 인정이 돼요. 그러니까 뭔가 우리는 이렇게 하는 걸 되게 우습게 보는 거죠.
I feel like this was a particularly tough subject to listen to because from first-hand experience, I know that Korea already has pretty rigid standards on certain subject matters. For me, it was surprising to hear that it also exists within the woodworking and woodturning world. While there are some good things that can come from that, it does make me sad to hear how creativity, particularly in competitions, can sometimes be completely overlooked or even discredited in favor of traditional works with little or less imagination. And I just want to say I personally really appreciate the USA because of this. As an artist, I want to pursue and do what I want without so much of the heavy weight of society's expectations on me. Not that I don't want to do anything for society, but that there's a certain kind of balance that I feel needs to exist. And when the world around you seems to lean too much to one side, regardless of which side that is, that pressure can feel intense, which in the end will most likely suffocate innovation rather than inspire it. And then, of course, I had to ask. The next question on my list was how the name of Onionwood came to be.
Onionwood라는 이름은 어떻게 왔어요?
되게 많이 물어봤어요. 편하게 불릴 수 있는 거. 어떤 분들은 그러니까 깎으면 새로운 게 나오잖아요.
네.
양파.
네.
새로운 게 나오잖아요. 근데 또 어떤 분들은 그래요. 깎아봤자 양파지. 깎아봤자 똑같이 양파잖아. 이런 분도 계시고. 근데 어쨌든 우리가 이 터닝하는 거하고 좀 약간 맞지 않고 또 되게 편하잖아요.
네.
어니언이라는 것보다 한국말로 얘기하면 양파. 되게 편하게 불릴 수 있는 거.
네.
그냥 그렇게 나온 것 같아요.
너무
아무 생각 없이 되게 웃기잖아요. 근데 어쨌든 깎는 거고 저희가.
그쵸.
그렇잖아요.
When he answered that he just liked the sound of it, it was actually pretty refreshing to hear. I think these days people take a lot of things way too seriously, and I'm more of a chill and laid back kind of person. I'm particular about some things, but mostly I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Most of all, I love how the concept of an onion can loosely represent Hee Won's wood turning approach, always peeling back another layer to see what's underneath. Of course, it's not a perfect metaphor, and I think that's kind of the point. Last but not least, I asked him if he had any advice for people wanting to get into wood turning, and here's what he said to that.
그리고 이제
네.
마지막 질문.
네.
이제 목선반 입문하고 싶은 사람들 그런 사람들한테 해주고 싶은 조언.
조언이요.
네.
일단은 배워서 하는 걸 추천드리고요.
네.
그 다음에 많은 분들도 급해요. 미국 분들도. 장시간 못 있잖아요.
그쵸.
그죠? 시간을 갖고 아까 말씀드렸잖아요. 이게 내가 원하는 의지대로 이게 스킬이 나올 수 있는 게 아니거든요.
네.
그러니까 차분하게 배우더라도 시간을 적어도 내 생각에 우리 가구 배울 때도 한 몇 년 하잖아요. 배우잖아요.
그쵸.
이 정도 시간을 충분히 갖고 장기적인 목표를 세워서
네.
그 다음에 하나에 굴하지 말고 좀 이렇게
다양하게.
다양하게 접해보면 아마 평생 즐길 거리가 되지 않을까 그렇게 저는 보고 있습니다.
좋은 조언입니다.
네.
So, patience, some more patience, and some variety to keep spicing things up. Hee Won's advice is to plan to study and do it for a long time because plain and simply, wood turning isn't going to be a skill that you can just mentally will yourself to acquire. And from his own personal experience, the only thing that's remained consistent has been time. Because of that, he also suggests to keep learning many different styles and techniques. Doing this will keep your perspective fresh, and not only will that potentially help you figure out a problem you had somewhere else, it will also increase the possibility that wood turning can become something you enjoy for your entire life. And that was my chat with Onionwood. This conversation was really a lot of fun for me, and it was also really cool to finally put a face to the name. I personally learned a lot from being able to speak with him and hear his takes on things, and this summarized version was my best try at sharing those nuggets of wisdom with you. Of course, there's so much more in the full-length version that you might be able to pick up, but if you do decide to check it out, keep in mind that a lot of the subtitles may not be 100% accurate because we did use the help of AI to try and make it more digestible as well as save us a lot of time. We're not transcribers by profession or anything, you know what I mean? And last but certainly not least, I wanted to give one more big thank you to Mr. Hee Won. 선생님 감사합니다. And yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Hello and welcome to the post-show hangout session. Thank you so much for sticking around, and today I'm curious, what are the most interesting parts for you and what are some things that you'd want to see more of in future conversations? I do have 5 more of these coming up and they also require a good chunk of time to process. I will get through them though, so no worries. Other than that, I wanted to keep this particular post-show short today, so very big thank you to all my Patreon members. Y'all are the best. And I'll see you next time. Happy woodworking. Peace out.